lights, camera, action. Hollywood, in 3 words. Legend has it, although dubiously, that D.W. Griffith coined the phrase as he tried to ensure his productions were moving along quickly in the early 20th century. And that period still enchants us. Silent film stars simply seem to shimmer under the bright lights, and that look has stuck with us ever since. But while these big, bright lights contributed to an air of glamour, they were also more sinister than they at first seemed. Silver screen actors and actresses alike began to come down with a mysterious affliction. Dry, teary eyes and a painful light sensitivity that at times even temporarily blinded them. Buster Keaton and his son even reportedly had to stop production of a film in 1923 due to this illness. But why? What caused this mysterious disease? Why were the lights of Hollywood, the ultimate symbol of glamour, causing so much pain to the very stars they illuminated? I'm Swofford. I talk about film and fashion history, and this is the story of the mysterious eye disease that struck old Hollywood during the days of silent film. All right, now, say it with me. Early film was orthochromatic. This means that it was blue sensitive. You guys seem to like that fact a lot, and I don't blame you. I find it pretty fascinating too. So we're gonna talk some more about it. If you're new here, film stocks from the invention of film in the 19th century all the way up through the late 1920s or so were orthochromatic. This means that while they reacted strongly to blue tones, blowing out the blue sky, they were not very reactive to reds, making skin tones appear dark and necessitating strange, colorful makeup. Go watch my video on silent film makeup to learn a bit more about that. But the fact is, if you want to light a set with say, something like a standard incandescent light bulb, you'll be SOL. Let's explain it just a little more. We're gonna get into the weeds. You may think that white light contains all of the wavelengths. That's what they taught you in school. It splits like a prism, but it's actually a spectrum. Color temperature is a scale of warm to cool that is measured in Kelvin, where higher Kelvin values are actually cooler, not warmer. I know it's confusing. It's just the way it is. You can think of it more in the fact that blue flames are really hot and orange ones are less so. White light with a low temperature, say 2700 Kelvin, like a candle, is technically white light, but its rays skew red, aka the lower energy range of the visible light spectrum. A higher temperature, like 5500 Kelvin, like sunlight, contains a bit more blue. Blue, violet, and UV wavelengths are harsher on the eye than infrared, red, and yellow. This is why when you visit your friends at their apartment and they turn on their big, cool overhead light, you feel like you're about to be operated on. No offense to you big light lovers out there. At least that's me being diplomatic. If you tried to use a standard incandescent bulb to light a movie set during the days of orthochromatic film, it would likely fail to launch. The red skewed warm lighting would look nearly non-existent on the orthochromatic film. That's why many films in the early days were shot outdoors. To shoot on a soundstage, you need something a bit more robust. Enter the Kliegs. In 1896, the Klieg brothers, Johann and Anton, purchased the Meyer-Hofer Electric Stage Lighting Company in New York and renamed it to the Klieg brothers, after themselves. Naturally, humble guys. They became the hookup for Hollywood lighting. They designed carbon arc floodlights in the early 1910s for film, and they were soon adopted by most motion picture studios. And they were intense. Within the lamp, 2 carbon rod electrodes would be super electrically charged and then brought close together, creating an intense arc that heated them to nearly 6,500 degrees, and most importantly, produced a bright white flame. Each lamp would use up to 16,500 watts, and the carbon rods themselves had to be replaced every couple of hours. This bright white flame had a color temperature of 5,600 to 6,500 Kelvin. Daylight is normally balanced to 5,500 Kelvin, so these lights were even cooler. Perfect for the blue-sensitive orthochromatic film stock these films were being shot on. Orthochromatic. It means blue sensitive. Remember it. Internalize it. Say it to yourself when you go to sleep. These Klieg lights were so bright that daytime scenes could now be shot at night. Now, orthochromatic film stocks in those days had an ISO of 5 to 10. Now, ISO, it's a measure of film sensitivity, and it's used as an analog for digital sensitivity these days too on digital cameras. For perspective, most of consumer film is sold at 400 ISO, and I can shoot video on my somewhat nice camera at 1600 ISO or so before it starts looking terrible. In the 1910s and the 1920s, 5. Good luck, Charlie. These brighter than hellfire lamps were absolutely necessary, and filmmakers adopted them enthusiastically. Since they were sold by the Kliegels, people started calling them Klieg lights, or just Klieg lights. At least I assume that's where the L must have gone, just alighted. And while the lights were a godsend to the filmmakers behind them, the actors underneath these death rays began to feel the ill effects. So what was Klieg Eye? Let's imagine for a second, okay, Swofford music, imagine. It's 1921. You've just gotten off set, filming a silent drama. Your character has just completed a highly emotional scene, a close-up, complete with tears. Yet, you didn't really need any help crying. No onions were harmed in the making of your scene. You didn't even particularly have to try. Initially, you worry that you may have caught pink eye. Maybe necking with that floozy crew member wasn't so wise, or maybe it's just sleep deprivation from the long hours. But as the days drag on, you find yourself increasingly unable to act. Eventually, your eyes are so red that under the orthochromatic film, that means blue sensitive, they are looking quite ghastly. You are sent home from set and told to visit an oculist. T.J. Eckelberg, Vine, Boo. What is wrong with you? It had actually become quite common in silent film stars in the 1910s and the 1920s. Exposure to the harsh lights was causing pink eye type symptoms. Here's a very pixelated article from the Brisbane Daily Mail from 1923. I don't assume it was actually printed like this. I don't think that would be good for circulation, but I cleaned it up so we can actually, read it. Those flappers who crave for studio life should look first into their pretty eyes and reflect that every profession has its own malady. Klieg Eyes is the name given to the terror of the studio. This is an affliction due to the intense lights used for film production. It dries up the secretion from the optical glands, the function of which is to lubricate the eyeballs. As a consequence, the lids run over the eyeballs with the effect of sandpaper. So great is the suffering frequently caused that one firm is offering a $1,000 prize for a preventative treatment. If a sound treatment is discovered, its benefits will be made available to the entire film profession. Just recently, all members of the cast of one picture were temporarily incapacitated during the production. This seemed to happen kind of a lot. Here's another article from 1923 about the time Buster Keaton and his son found himself stricken. Joseph Talmadge Keaton, year-old son of Buster Keaton, motion picture comedian and already film actor himself, has developed Klieg Eyes, the result of working in strong artificial light. Physicians say his trouble is not serious, but work on the picture on which he was supporting his father has been stopped. What a damn menace! It wasn't just the pink eye, although that certainly was a big part of it, but these lights were loud, they were hot, and they made everything on set look quite strange due to the bluish nature of the light. For the 1918 book Film Folk, Rob Wagner published an anonymous interview with whom he dubbed the Film Queen. Concerning these bright lights, the Film Queen has this to say: "Every profession has its disagreeable duties, and one of ours is to work under the studio lights. Every actress dreads them, for for they are simply cruel to the eyes, and to work within a few feet of 8 or 10 ghastly, hissing, flaming arcs will unnerve even the strongest of us. The red rays are entirely absent in these awful things, the consequence being that when they are used, everything in the scene is bathed in a sickly, bluish green. Faces appear ashen grey, and the skin of one's lips looks purple. The actors appear like uncanny corpses suddenly come to life. The light is so dreadful to the eyes that the least result is a splitting headache, and the worst, the necessity of seeking the solace of an oculist, or of wearing amber glasses for several days. Okay, just imagine, being overstimulated on a movie set back then. Bathed in surgical lighting, hot as hell, and the lights and the camera are both screaming at you. I'd be like clawing my tuxedo off. Sickening. So then, beyond just the strange rendering and sheer brightness of the lights, what was the real affliction? How can we understand this old Hollywood disease through a modern medical lens? Klieg Eye is now understood to be actinic conjunctivitis. Actinic meaning of ultraviolet rays, conjunctive referring to the conjunctiva, meaning the thin clear layer on the outside of the eye. Itis meaning inflammation. Inflammation of the outer layer of the eye due to ultraviolet rays. Thank you so much, Dr. Bernard, for your etymological template. We get so much mileage out of this. But yeah, it was basically pink eye, but not caused by a pathogen, but by the Klieg lights. A very similar condition can be seen in welders who don't use eye protection, known as welder's flash, or snow blindness, where the snow can reflect UV rays right from the sun off the bright white snow into your eye and cause the same inflammation. Even children in the highlands of Ecuador were also seen to develop pink eye at higher altitudes until it was discovered that the high altitude, ergo thinner air, gave less protection against ultraviolet rays. Symptoms typically onset within 6 to 12 hours of exposure, and the best treatment was 24 to 72 hours of rest and darkness. Works great for my migraines, too. There were, of course, rumors that it had permanently blinded Hollywood stars because that makes good clickbait. Who are you talking to? But this does not seem to be the case. Painful, yeah. Permanent, no. Buster Keaton's son went home and was able to make a full recovery. During those days of orthochromatic film, Klieg Eye was seen as an occupational risk, and often their poor, sensitive eyes required amber glasses between takes. It's interesting, because this may be where we get the association of celebrity with sunglasses. Actors who were seen offset sometimes needed these sunglasses for protection, and so that endures to today. The image of the Hollywood star in the amber glasses. How is the issue solved? Well, it seems like panchromatic film really changed everything. Just like in our silent film makeup story. Well, orthochromatic film was blue sensitive because orthochromatic means blue sensitive. Panchromatic film more accurately represented the outside world in the grayscale tones which we would expect. Panchromatic film prices came down to match orthochromatic film prices by 1926, leading to its rapid adoption. At this point, you could light up sets with incandescent lights or tungsten lamps. They cut lighting costs in half and saved up to 2 hours of shooting time every day that you weren't spending exchanging spent carbon rods. And once the talkies came, you didn't want those loud as hell Klieg lights taking up sound space anyway. You already had to put the camera in a box. And so Klieg Eye was accepted, debilitating as it was as an occupational risk of stardom. There's a reason the lights of Hollywood became such a potent symbol. It's a testament to how far stars were willing to go, nearly blinding themselves just for a chance to immortalize themselves in silver nitrate. And at the end of the day, it wasn't any kind of worker protection that stopped this affliction, just a cheaper, newer technology. Seems to happen like that. Technicolor lighting, though, was a whole other beast. But that's a different topic for a different video. I guess you'll just have to stick around. Okay, now while we're here talking about the 1920s and the film industry, You should go and watch the video on Orthochromatic makeup to see how stars did their makeup to compensate for the odd lighting and the odd film stock. Yellow foundation, purple blush, it's quite a sight to behold, and I do it all on my own face. And I also painted it on this poster. This is the Orthochromatic poster. I seriously have to thank you guys, to everyone who has bought one so far. It is a great piece of wall art for anyone who's interested in Art Deco aesthetics, the 1920s, the culture of filmmaking, and of course, hand-painted human creativity. So, check out my website link in the description for that. Every purchase helps to support me in my dream, making my content and having it support me. Subscribe so you don't miss all the other film and fashion history deep dives I'm gonna make that will be just like this one. TV makeup that's pretty far down the line in terms of progress. The history that I've uncovered is so much more fascinating than I already thought it was. So you are not going to want to miss that one. I'm going to do another demonstration. Make sure you're here for that. I have been Swofford, and I will see you on the flip side.